I connected with a group of guys that were organizing a truck convoy to the Ukraine. What they were doing actually is buying used trucks and then refurbishing them and then driving them to Kyiv and handing the keys over to Ukrainian soldiers who immediately took the trucks to the front line. The organizers of this convoy figured out that there are gaps in what we're providing. And one of the big gaps is just basic transportation. So these guys have a lot of pretty sophisticated weaponry, but they're getting around on foot. And so we met in Tallinn, Estonia, because the guys that organized this are all Estonian entrepreneurs. They all work in a co-working space, and they really got together and just talked about this. And this is what they told me. They said, if Putin is able to succeed at this, we're next. And so they really felt like this was, to some extent, an act of self-defense on their part. So they're all from Estonia, but the guys that came on the convoy were actually from Belgium, from Finland. We had a couple guys from Ukraine, and then two of us from the United States. It was the first time in the convoys they've done that there were any Americans that were actually driving in the convoy. What these guys are doing, what it amounts to really is an international effort to support Ukrainian soldiers on the front lines. So the game plan really was to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and be on the road before 6. And so we did. We left Tallinn, Estonia before 6 a.m. in the dark and headed south through Latvia, Lithuania, and then ultimately into Poland. We left on Wednesday. The plan was to be in Kyiv before sundown on Thursday. So we got to Kyiv about 5 in the afternoon. I got up the next morning and went to the parking lot. And so we had these Ukrainian military units come in one by one. And we would hand them the keys to the truck and hand them the medical supplies. And for me, the gratitude that I saw in the faces of these soldiers when we handed the keys over to these trucks made all the difference for me. It made the trip, it made that 35-hour convoy drive all worth the effort. And so what you remember is that when you're standing there with these soldiers and you're handing them the keys, it's like, even though they don't speak your language, they understand what's happening. And they looked at my truck, the one I drove, and what these guys had done is they had put together on the side of the truck the Ukrainian flag and the American flag kind of pushed together. So they look at that and they know these guys are Americans, right? And these Americans have come here. They bought this truck for us and they drove it here to hand us the keys to it. So what these guys who are living under the threat of Russian attacks on an hourly basis see is that Americans are standing with them. This is our fight too. And that's the message. And so it always ended in hugs, sometimes tears. And it was a really memorable, emotional experience. And then about one by one, they took the keys, started the truck, and headed off. These guys would take that 6-7 hour drive back to the Eastern Front. These trucks were in combat by sundown. And I'll tell you that in the weeks since we've handed the keys off to these guys, sometimes they make an effort to film a video and send it to us. I've gotten some short video clips from the Ukrainian front over in eastern Ukraine from these guys driving the truck I drove and gave to these guys. So I've had a lot of people ask me, how can they help? And there's room for help. There's a huge need. There still are convoys. There actually has been one convoy since the convoy I was on. The idea is to do, ideally one of these a month or even more often if we could raise the funds to support that. There'll be a need for more trucks. There'll be a need for more medical supplies, a need for more blankets, a need for more tires, for all those things. And we're going to continue to run these convoys as long as we can raise the money to buy the trucks and the supplies that these guys need. We set up a website where people who want to make a contribution can. I really believe what President Zelensky said when he spoke to Congress a couple months ago is true. He said, the contribution that we make to support this effort is not charity. It's not charity. It's an investment in freedom and democracy. And that's what this contribution is about. And if making that difference is something that's important to you, click the link below and make a contribution that you can afford to make. I promise you, it will make a powerful, compelling difference in the lives of these Ukrainian soldiers who are fighting for freedom every single day.